Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot, oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker. Unfortunately, Michelle Claire couldn't join us tonight, but she'll be back next week. And we'll hear about all of her exciting events coming up, as well as she will be speaking with next week's guest, as well as I will be. And next week's guest is a medical intuitive. She is a doctor, went back to medical school in her 50s. God bless her. So she's going to be joining us next week. But for tonight, oh my God, this is a momentous show. This is a show I have wished for. I really have. But before I tell you more about it, make sure you join us on Facebook, Twitter, follow us everywhere. Let everybody know about Supernatural Girls. We're doing some really leading edge things here, and we will be doing more. So, tonight, Tom Dongo, an amazing man, has agreed to be on the show tonight. And who is Tom? I will tell you. He is a longtime resident of Sedona, Arizona. He's recognized as a world authority and one of the United States of America's leading authorities on UFOs, paranormal occurrences, and he's also one of the very best top remote viewers in the world. Now, he's with us tonight. Now, he has been a key lecturer at numerous U.S. national and international conferences, including the International UFO Congress. Now, Tom studied at the Berkeley International Pyschic Institute in Santa Cruz, California, and has spent the last 30-plus years in the greater Sedona, Arizona area, which is known as one of the premier UFO hotspots of the world. Tom is also a writer of mainstream magazine articles. He is the author of 8 books on the paranormal, including The Mysteries of Sedona, The New Age Frontier, The Alien Tide, The Quest, The Opening Portals of Sedona. There's just so many. Merging Dimensions. You've got to look him up on Amazon so you can get all his books. His books are tremendous. And Tom, he knows what he's talking about. He is an experiencer. He's met so many real deals over the years. And tonight he's also going to be bringing on the show, a little bit later on, a very mysterious person who goes by the name of Z. And I'm going to let Tom tell you all about him. But first, let me get Tom on the show. Tom, welcome to Supernatural Girls.
Well, it's great to be back on the show, Patricia. I really enjoy being on this show.
Well, thank you so much. I'm honored. I truly am. You are just the top of the top here in terms of UFO people who really know what they're talking about. It's hard to find people like you. There's a lot of people that do jibber-jabber out there, but you really know what you're talking about. You've had so many experiences. But tell the audience who may not be familiar with you yet a little bit about how you got into this. What drew you in to the UFO field and remote viewing?
Well, that's a great question because I knew Bob Short. Bob and his wife Shirley died a few years ago, but they were 30 years ago. They were really prominent, in the UFO community, and Bob said, "I'm the last of the 6, the original 6 of." The original UFO researchers, and I'm talking about Adamski and Van Tassel and I think it's Truman Bethune. Bob knew them all, and his wife Shirley said all this controversy about George Adamski. We knew him. We were best friends, and he was not lying. He told the truth always. None of it is fake. So that was coming from somebody that was right there. That's pretty important.
It is.
Because Adamski is going to be accused of all sorts of things, like every UFO researcher. I mean, the debunkers and the critics and the skeptics come crawling out of every nook and cranny to
Yeah, they do their little attacks. Yeah, it's not fun. You got to be tough to stand up to that.
Well, Bob Short spent a lot of time with George Van Tassel at Giant Rock, and he told this one story about. I know it's true because I've heard it from other people. There were often, there's human extraterrestrials. There are about 17 races or species from my own research, and there are about 100 humanoids that are not human. I have a hard time with the humanoids, but I can understand, and I can somehow contact some of the humans. They're easy, and some of them are doing everything they can to help us, everything. And some of them just don't really care. These Earth humans can. It's a free will planet. They can do whatever they want to themselves, So, but there are some that are doing everything they can to help us. I've been called one of the world's top remote viewers, and I probably am. I was born with an incredible remote viewing ability. I was born with it. I probably had a past life in Tibet where I was a seer. The Tibetans all had a seer that would visit the villages and then remote view the villages and then come back, and tell what he saw. Fires or disasters or a lot of people sick or whatever. They didn't have newspapers, but they had seers.
Right.
So maybe I was one of those. I don't know, but I have a phenomenal remote viewing ability, and I just did a workshop with Maureen St. Germain, a wonderful person, Maureen. I can't say good enough things about her. We had a month-long remote viewing. We taught remote viewing, and our students were from all over the world. And so during she taught the military version, the standard military version where they use coordinates, Ingo Swann and Russell Targ, that sort of thing.
Yes, right.
And and I've worked with some of Swann's, some of my best friends right now are some of those original remote viewers from Targ and Swann's team that they trained. So anyway, I have a different version. And so she taught the military version. So it was a phenomenal success. I combined my version of remote viewing with the military, and just for the heck of it, I tried one of her coordinates. I've never done the coordinates. A random. It's a random 6 or 8 numbers, And so I said, well, let me try this one. She said, okay, go ahead. I said it's the. I thought for a minute, and I said it's the Seattle Space Needle, and I drew a picture of it. And I was 100% right. So that's pretty good. That's kind of
that's very good.
Pretty unusual.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
this is pretty good.
Oh yeah, you bet. And I use it a lot. And I can talk to extraterrestrials using remote viewing, and I can also see into a human body like an X-ray machine using remote viewing. And I don't do this for a living. I'm not doing it anymore. But I cured a girl of 4th-stage cancer. She was dying using remote viewing, and I can prove it. I've got the letter her mother wrote to me that she was beside herself in happiness because they just got her daughter out of the hospital. And she was 99% free of cancer, and she was brain cancer.
Oh, that's a rough one too.
I did. Yeah, and I did it using remote viewing. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can, when you get really, really good at remote viewing, there's a lot of things you can do with it. So I do.
I had no idea that you could use it that way. You can use it for healing.
Yeah. Yeah,
wow.
You can. It's so I do, and in remote viewing, my friend Tom O'Donnell, he's a psychologist, and he tested me for 6 months on, I was living in Sedona. I'm living in Cottonwood now. I've moved to Cottonwood. It's 20 miles south of Sedona, but at the time I was living in Sedona, and he was in Durango, Colorado. And so I would, so Tom would test me from Durango, and I'd go there. We'd talk on the telephone. I'd say, well, I'll be there at 7:30 tonight. So he'd arrange it and set stuff up on the table, and I had about a 80% hit rate, and the best that the best remote viewers can do is 65%. So
wow.
I got
Oh, you're way above that. That's
ability.
A lot. It is.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, yeah. So I have a lot of fun with it. I tell this story a lot. I told it on some show a couple of weeks ago. At any rate, I would when I'd go to Tom's house in Durango. He lived up on a high mesa, looking straight across the San Juan Mountains. And fantastic view. I love his view of the San Juans that covered with snow. And so I would materialize literally. My body is in Sedona, but I would materialize on the second story right by his office window. And I'd float through his window, through the glass, go through his office, and go down his stairs, and he'd be downstairs somewhere waiting for me. But this one time, I went half hour early just for the heck of it, just to watch Tom cooking. He was always cooking. And I was halfway down. Yeah. And by the way, you can smell remote viewing. You can smell flowers and cooking and all that.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
One of the things I like to do is go back 1,000 years to an English village and smell the smells. You can do that remote viewing.
Oh my goodness!
So anyway, I got halfway down the stairs and something terrified me. Absolutely terrified me. So I stopped halfway down the stairs, and I looked. I kind of scanned around. I couldn't find anything, so I went down the bottom of the stairs, and Tom was finally finished with his cooking. And when I called him on the phone, I said, "Well, I'm here. I've been sitting on the stairs watching you cooking." I described what he was wearing exactly: boots, blue jeans, and a cowboy belt, and a red and black shirt. He was cooking some kind of. It smelled like some kind of spaghetti sauce or something. I was close, but that wasn't it. So anyway, he and I go into his living. He's walking, and I'm floating along beside him. Sounds crazy, but that's how it works. And I said, Tom, tell me something. We had this deal. It was just me and him. Nobody. He wouldn't invite anybody. We had that deal. So I said, Tom, is there somebody else in the house right now besides you and me? And he got real sheepish on the phone. He said, well, yeah, I invited my next door neighbor over. I said, where is he? He said, he's sitting right there on the couch. And I looked at the couch, and it was just the couch. I couldn't see him. Scared the hell out of me. It really did. So, somebody said, well, it was probably somebody that didn't have a soul. It was one of the skinwalker guys told me that. He said, it's probably somebody. Yeah. So I think it may have been. I can't think of any other explanation.
That is really something. Oh my goodness. Yeah. We were talking about skinwalkers not too long ago, and I said that's one of the things that scares me the most, skinwalkers. And here you encountered one, and you felt that terror.
Yeah. What scares me more than skinwalker, and I've been very close to them on the Navajo reservation, is dogmen.
Dogmen? No kidding.
Dogmen are absolutely real, and they're werewolves. I mean, I'm serious. They're werewolves. the real werewolf. And there's a lot of them in this country. There's most of them in the Mississippi Delta, and the worst of the worst are in Texas.
Kidding. Huh.
The really dangerous ones are in Central Texas, and they're real.
Now, is there a difference? Is there a difference between dogman and werewolves, or it's just one and the same? Because that's been a discussion we've had a few times.
Yeah. Right. No, they're the same. Werewolves and dogman, they're the same. The dogman is a werewolf.
Wow.
And that's they scare me more than any. I've been near skinwalkers, very close, and they don't bother me, but anywhere near as much as a dogman does. Dogmen are evil. There's just something about them. I've asked Indians, the shamans. And the elders, I said, what do you guys think? What is a dog man? What? And they knew. And you see, Cliff Mahooty, he just died. He was one of my best friends. So I asked Cliff one time. He's a Zuni elder. Cliff Mahooty was a Zuni elder, one of my best friends. My best friend. He died recently.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I said, Cliff. I said, Cliff, what do you think about dogmen and skinwalkers? He said, there's something paranormal. We have no idea what they are. And
wow.
Cliff was a senior Zuni elder, so he knew. He met with many of the other Indian elders, and he said, we don't know. They're just something extremely paranormal, but we don't know what they are. Neither do I. And I try to remote view these things. I try to remote view these things. And it's just too scary. It's freaky as anything.
Oh gosh. Well, I can see why you wouldn't want to go any further with it. That's for sure. And I bet they know when you're looking at them.
Well, I'm 77 years old now, so I'm slowing down. I'm about half as fast as I was 10 years ago, and my energy is really running down bad.
Oh.
So, but I used to be known as reckless. I mean, I'd hunt them on their turf. If there was a dog man around, not dog man. I would never go on a chase a dog man. Never.
Right.
I have Bigfoot. Bigfoot are very gentle creatures. They're they're not harmful. And I've interviewed many people that have been at face-to-face Bigfoot encounters. And Bigfoot are very, by and large, they're very, very gentle creatures. Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. So, but there are things out there that scare the hell out of me. The Amityville Horror in New York and the stuff on the Skinwalker. That. And the Skinwalker Ranch. I was talking with George Knapp one time. We spoke together in Vernal, Utah, and I said, I woke up in the morning in my motel room, and I was staring at this thing, that's on the Skinwalker Ranch, and that thing, I said, and that's when somebody, one of the Skinwalker guys said, it's probably something without a soul. And that thing on the Skinwalker, it's real. But it's probably been there as long as it's an earth-based creature. I mean, it's not really alive and it's not really dead. It has no soul. That's the biggest thing. And some of these things I remote view and I have no idea what they are, and I can't explain it. In the Amityville house in New York, I explored that thing. I can do that from thousands of miles away. I went all through the rooms, and I went down to the cellar. And the cellar, I ran into something down there. I don't ever want to deal with it again. It was there face to face. It saw me, and I saw it. I can't describe it, but I call these things an awful evil. And they're out there, and I don't know what they are.
Do you think it's some type of a demonic force? Because usually those are the worst ones.
Yeah, well, demonic force. Yeah, probably. I can't. You know, I can't describe. It's just they're awful. They're you know, it's an awful evil. And I actually did battle with one once about 30 years ago. It's a long story, but there was a chiropractor that was building a $5 million building in Santa Cruz, and this creature was really messing him up bad. So he came to me and he said, "Tom, I need help." I mean, this is a long story. I'm making it awfully short. And I said, "Yeah, I know you do. This thing on, I got it away from him, but I took this thing on battle. I mean, the difference is it was a standoff, but that thing could fight without a body, and I had a body, which is a big drawback when you're fighting something that's, you know, it's only only an energy. So I mean, some of the crazy stuff I've done. You know, like I say, yeah. See what time
You're one brave man, I have to say. But let's go from here. You have obviously such a broad scope of experience with all types of paranormal entities and places. But recently, you told me something that absolutely blew my mind. You said you were in touch, communicating with a physical extraterrestrial. So we're not talking about anything airy-fairy here, anything made up or in a dream world. We're talking about real communication with a real extraterrestrial. How did this happen? My goodness, this is huge.
Well, Z is going to call in about 10 minutes, so 9 minutes. So I can maybe, let's see, how am I going to go about this? But at any rate, Z has been in contact with extraterrestrials. Now, I'm going to explain this. Now, I've been studying human extraterrestrials for 40 years. I myself have interviewed 15 people that had face-to-face human extraterrestrial experience, and and the extraterrestrial proved it. And they were all pretty much, the only ones that were really different are the Nordics. They're physically perfect, and they have blonde hair, and they're all, the men and the women are physically perfect, and they're very nice people. They do whatever they can from. So anyway, so I've been studying human extraterrestrials for so long, it almost seems like I live with them. And I'm so familiar with them. You know, they're here. There's many of them that are here amongst us. I've met 4. Long story. The one girl, I'll focus on the one girl. She was. We were hiking, me and my girlfriend at the time, and we were trying to find a petroglyph site near Sedona, and. It had been a really snowy winter, and all the dry creeks were roaring with water like the Grand Canyon. And it was so muddy that day. You know, you lift your boot up and you got 4 inches of mud on the bottom of your boot. So I was getting really tired. Yeah, I was getting really tired, and I was starting to sweat. And this girl walks out of the bushes. She's got street clothes on, street shoes. She's got a red pants, a white wool sweater, about 27 years old, and kind of pretty, but pretty average. So she went over, and I'm thinking, where in the hell did she come from? Especially with hair. And women around here always have a dog with them. The crime here is very low, but women by themselves always have a dog with them, and she didn't. So I'm trying to figure it out, and so she went over and talked to my girlfriend, and then I gestured to the girl. She came over. It was about 20 yards between us, and I said, "Do you happen to know where the trail is?" And she talked so low, I had to put my ear right up to her mouth so I could hear what she was saying, and she just gestured down from where I was standing. Then I went up and looked, and that was the trail. And I asked her, "How did you know that? What, And she just looked at me, so I was okay. I thank you very much, and I grabbed my girlfriend, and we went down, and it was almost, I'd say 70 degrees, almost straight down.
Wow.
And we had a hard time getting down there, hanging on the bushes and all that. So we got down there, we're looking at the petroglyphs and all that. And she goes over by the water, and the water's roaring. And I turn around, and the girl is standing right there. I mean, I had to back up a little bit. And I looked up the trail, and I'm thinking, how the heck did she get down there? So anyway, I asked her, and I had to put my ear right up to her mouth, and then my girlfriend yelled at me. So I turned, and 3 seconds later, I turned back to the girl, and she was gone.
Wow!
Just blinked out.
My goodness!
That's what extraterrestrials can do. That's easy for them. So and I looked. There's nowhere she could have gone that I wouldn't see her, especially in red and white clothes. So she just blinked out. Blinked. She was gone. So that's what extraterrestrials can do. So anyway, I'm going to end this story like that. You were asking me about.
Well, I was just wondering how you came to this recent high level of communication, and it's because it sounded like you really had an ongoing conversation, because these experiences like this that you had are truly remarkable. They really are. And there's some reason why these ETs are drawn to you. I mean, why this ET came to you in that location at that time, who knows? It had to have a purpose. Well, and to show you what they're capable of, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But they've said that they accept me through Z. So I said that's good. And there's one that I communicate with. They call her mother. And, they can look. I know from long experience that an ET can look like 25 years old, a woman, and be extraordinarily beautiful, but she's 800 years old. And that's how, and when, so Z will, hopefully Z you will call in, because I don't want to step on your story. But
no, that's
Z,
fine. But
I'll get to that. Z, why don't you call in now, buddy, if you can, and we'll take it from there. Then I'll talk about.
Yeah, I'll watch for him. I'll watch for him on the board. Meanwhile, what did your girlfriend think of all this when she met this very strange woman who all of a sudden disappeared? What did she think?
The funny thing is, a lot of the time it's just ho hum. Oh, she was an extraterrestrial. Oh, that's nice. That blows me away every time. I had an experience the other day, and I'm going. I'm trying not to use any nasty swear words, but I told somebody a fact. They look at me like, oh yeah, okay, oh that's nice, all right. Well, I got to go now. I got to go get my errands.
Got to get back to my life because I don't know what to do with this. Basically, that's what a lot of people think.
Actually, I was talking to Z, and I said, some of these people, they can't even comprehend what I'm talking about. They not only don't understand, comprehend it.
Right. Well, Z has joined us, so let me bring him on the air, and I'm going to let you introduce him, okay?
Yeah.
Hi, Z. You are live on the air.
How you doing?
Yeah. Hey.
We're great.
Hey, Z.
I'm going to let Tom talk about who you are, since you are brand new to me. What an exciting experience to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us.
No problem.
Okay, Z. Yeah. Well, I don't want to mess up your parade, Z, but let me say this first. I will vouch for this guy 110% for his credibility and his integrity. I know him well enough. I know his background. I will vouch for what he says. Through experiences I've had recently, I will vouch for him 110%. Anyway, Z has had direct extraterrestrial contact now for how long, Z? It's been quite a while, right?
Yeah, about probably 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was longer than that. Wow. Okay. So when I first met Z, and I told him this, so I don't think he'd get too upset about it, but I went over his head and remote viewed some of the stuff because, Patricia, like I said, I've been sucked into so many hoaxes that have just been a nightmare.
Yeah. Terrible.
I didn't really question Z, but I got to have some proof, And I am one of the world's best remote viewers. I've proved it many, many times, so I don't have to go into that too much. So I had a hard time finding his spot, where he meets the others, and I met the mother. They call her the mother, and she's definitely one of the elders. But she's here now. She just connected with me. And how does this happen? Well, it's with a lot of people. I feel a pressure on the side of my head. It's like a prickly, tingling kind of thing that I know somebody wants my attention. It's spiritual or ET or whatever. So the mother, a lot of times I know she hears me, but she won't communicate with me. So anyway, that's how it is. The first time I missed completely. When I was checking Z out, I completely missed. I got into probably a group of aliens that were not friendly to us. They were everything was black, and they did not have a human appearance. Anything but. So Z says, no, that's not my people. So I took another shot, and then that's when I'm looking around remote viewing, and I almost bumped my head on a flying saucer. I really had to duck.
Wow, that's great.
And he had told me they were white, basically white, and I'm looking at one. It's right here in front of my face, 6 inches away, and I said, well, it's kind of white, but it's more of a silver aluminum white, And Z, remember you agreed with me on that.
Yeah.
So this is how you vetted him to find out he was telling the truth, and you found where this ship was located, and you identified some of the ETs that were there. Let me ask both you guys, is this a large group of ETs on this ship? Because I think you referred to it as a mothership, so it sounds like it could be a large group.
No, not at all. It's basically a lab, and it was completely by accident how it all came to be. But there's 7 of them that's actually involved. I've met more, but not with this group. I call them my family.
Mm-hmm. And you obviously feel comfortable with them. You don't feel threatened by them at all. Are they here to help?
It was a little weird in the beginning. It was a little strange because as a lab ship, they really had nothing to do with people, and the people weren't of any interest to them other than in their studies. And so, I came across one of them. I was in the jungle where I work once a week, and I was just hiking through the swamps, and I came across this lady. It just didn't seem to fit. And she was absolutely beautiful, and it's like 100 miles from anything, right? And so it's really weird, but through my life I've had a lot of really strange experiences anyway. I tell people that I'm the world's greatest skeptic, but there's nothing I can't believe because of what I've seen. And anyways, she got tangled up in the mangroves, and if you don't know what mangrove trees are like, they're like the roots are about 2 or 3 feet out of the ground, and so it's like a trap almost. And she had gotten caught in there and wasn't able to free herself. And so anyways, when I saw that, it was, I started to approach, and I could tell there was a lot of hesitation on her part. And so I just made it very slow and, casual until I got towards her. And I could see where I'd just have to cut away some of the stuff. And so I pulled out my knife and she freaked. And so I just sat back and, then I set the knife next to her and stuff so she could pick it up and encouraged her to pick it up. And then while she was looking at it, I just sat there and smoked a cigar, and she got a little bit more comfortable, and she offered it back to me. And then I showed her, step by step what I would do. And, long story short, I got her free of it. And then I noticed that she wasn't really walking well. And so I offered to help her. And so she agreed. And she was wearing this like blue type uniform sort of thing. I guess I would call it a uniform or jumpsuit. And so when I went to pick her up, it was really weird. It felt like skin. And as I lifted her, I was expecting more weight. And I swear it was like 20 pounds. I almost threw her over my head. And
my goodness.
And I could tell she was getting more trusting. And she put her arm around my neck, and so she would help me in a sense. And then as I started to walk in a direction, she would, help guide me. And it was down along this animal trail until we got to this big mound. And I had never seen any mounds down here before and really wasn't aware of them. And there was clear vegetation, and it just felt odd to me. And so she motioned to let her down, and so I did. And then she was like giving me motions to get away, and so I did. And I just felt awful weird because I'm letting this person alone in the middle of the jungle.
In the jungle, right?
Who obviously didn't fit any parameter, right? That would be normal. And so I had clues, but because of, like I said, my past and stuff, that I felt, well, she wants me to go, then I guess okay. And I stepped away a little bit, and then I kind of looked back just to see, and she was gone. And it was like I didn't know what to expect. So I thought, well, maybe I was smelling too many of the vegetation in the jungle, and maybe I was seeing things or feeling things. But yeah. So I left it alone, but I went back because it was real close to my work and stuff, and then that's when
let me ask you this, Z, before you go
Sure.
further with the story. So she didn't speak. She didn't say anything to you.
No.
Nothing. And there was no telepathy, because I know a lot of people talk about how when they're in the presence of an ET, they get mind communication. So you didn't have any of that either with her. That's unusual, huh? Okay.
No, I didn't have anything like that.
So then when you said you went back, when you went back, what happened? Did you meet the rest of the team?
Well, it was kind of odd because I didn't know what was taking place, and she's kind of special, and so she had basically, I can kind of bring it all together here. She had told the captain she was going out, and he said no, and so she went anyway because she could, and she got in trouble, kind of like expected, and it's not a good place to be in trouble. And anyway, so
for sure.
And so I decided to go after work that time the next week. I decided to go down that trail, and I questioned whether to go back in that area because that wasn't where I usually walk. And I just said, you know what, I think I will because I could be crazy. There might even be nothing there. And I walked back in there, and when I got there, there was like this blue tint, and that was just emanating right above that mound. And so I walked up, and I just walked through it because it's not like the first time I've seen something like that. And, your eyes kind of play tricks on you or the weather or whatever. And next thing I know, I'm inside their craft, and they're all standing in front of me. And that's when things started.
gosh. So you pass through this kind of portal-like thing, this blue light. There they are, all 7 of them standing there? It must have been quite a moment.
Actually 6 of them at that time.
6 of them. So here you are confronted by 6 otherworldly beings. And were you startled that they were all of a sudden standing there in front of you? Or were you like, oh, these are old friends? I mean, what was the feeling, the emotion that you had in that moment? How strange.
Well, there's not really anything that I fear. And, you know, I know I'll die one day. And it was kind of like, I mean, I've been shot 7 times. I've been left for dead for 3 times.
Wow.
I've been stabbed. I can't count how many times through my work and everything. And, you know, it doesn't seem to really matter to me. This is an experience that's unfolding in front of me. So I figured, well, maybe I should go with it and just see where it goes. And the other thought was, well, maybe they're getting ready to eat me or something, you know, because I'm starting to think
cannibal aliens. That wouldn't be good. Yeah. Aye. Yeah. So, okay, so here you're miles from anything, right? Miles from civilization. So and nobody probably knew you were there. So you truly were on your own.
I worked there. Yeah. Well, but
they didn't know you were on that path, right? They didn't know that you were taking a little hike, right?
No, not at all. Yeah. I think I'm crazy for going down those paths, so.
Yeah, well, not crazy, but I would say you were pretty brave, pretty adventurous to see what was going to be at the end of that trail. And here you found them. So there's 6 of them standing there in front of you. My goodness. And at that point, did they speak? Was there any communication that you could detect?
Yeah. The captain come forward and started to introduce himself, and the lady that I helped out and everything, and they explained to me, you know, that this is not normal for them, and that they were just curious and wanted to know why I did what I did. And so I kind of explained, I said that, you know, it could have been an animal. I mean, I would have freed the animal if I could. You know, it was just, I had no other intention other than, you know, setting things right. And be on my way, and that's what I did. And they were really curious about that, because from what, you know, as being a lab and what they do, they were warned, don't contact humans, you know, because we're violent and all that stuff. And so they wanted to know a little more. Yeah. So they just wanted to know a little more of me. And so we started to talk a little bit, and their English wasn't well, but it was new to them, and so, but they knew it. But it was kind of like when you learn a language online or something, then you actually go out and apply it. So that was the impression I was getting from them. And so, you know, it was just a kind of a short type introduction, and you know, they thought, well, maybe we can learn from you, and you from us. And so we would let it go at that. And so I left the same way I came in a sense. And then it just kept repeating, more and more contact, more and more communication. You know, we got to a certain point in communications where it was just exhausting for me, because, you know, it'd be like, I would describe something like a man walking down the street without a shirt, and it'd take 8 hours to get them to understand. And what I found out is that they need to see it they come from a different, in their brain, they think different ways than us, and they needed to see other aspects of the same thing. And so it got to a point where I just needed a break from them, and I explained it to them. And at that time, we had really developed trust amongst all of us, and I really closely connected to the female and that I had helped out. And so she was kind of like a troublemaker, and I've always been labeled that. And so she was like my savior in all this. Yeah. And then so she came to get me one day, and to bring me to the ship, and was kind of wondering if I'm going to continue with this. And I invited her in, and so because she came actually to my door, and which is a whole nother story about how they find you. But anyways, I had the TV on, and I was showing this sitcom, and I thought, this might be an opportunity to explain where we weren't communicating so well, and I just played the one show, and it had family and stuff in it, and so she began to enjoy it, and then I played it again, the same episode, and again, and again, and so she ended up questioning me, why are you doing this? I said, this is what it's like when you guys are questioning me, and she understood, and after that I started recommending these movies for them to watch, like mostly Family Channel sort of thing, and then when they would ask me questions, it was really easy to answer, and so that big gap that we had started to become easy, and so
very,
from there,
very smart of you.
One of my students was from Germany, and I asked her one time how she was able to speak English so well, and she said watching TV. And I thought, wow, maybe
that's
this will
right.
work.
A lot of people learn that way here in this country from other countries. That's so funny. Now, did this lady ever share her name?
Sort of. They never told me their names, so I kind of named them. And she reminded me of just something I knew very little about at the time, and that was, Sam Jess. And so that's what I started to call her, and it seems to be, it fits all the categories, and I think I've learned since then it was the real thing. But she's like the granddaughter of the one that was spoke of that was not such a good interaction. They don't want to talk about that, but they referred me to some stuff, and I discovered a lot of things that weren't so good, so I understand it. There was 2 contacts, one to say hi, one to say goodbye.
Oh, boy. Where are they from?
Well put.
Yeah.
It's about...
Where are they from?
About 80 light years past the Pleiades.
Okay. So they come from another planet. Yeah. So very different experience from what I'm used to hearing, which is great. I love that. This is something brand new where they weren't communicating telepathically, and you had to figure out a better way to communicate with them, and you did that. And you also started everything with a generous act to help her to get free when she was being a bad teenager, running around in the jungle, being disrespectful to the captain that way, and then got herself in trouble. So you helped her out of that by really being sensitive to her fears, her concerns, and yet at the same time you sensed there's something off with this person. She's not really a person. You kind of knew that right at the beginning, yes?
Yeah.
So they communicated with you then for the last 2 to 3 months, and it sounds like now they can reach you anytime they want.
Yeah. There's been a lot of evolution that's taken place during all of this, and it has a lot to do with, like I used to teach Tai Chi and Qigong for many years, and the thing about Qigong is that it's unique among all the other exercises along with Tai Chi, and it's complete. And like the whole intention is to separate your organs, basically, to allow each of those organs to vibrate at their own frequency. Because what happens with people is like they do a desk job or something's the same thing every day, and what ends up happening is that all the organs begin to vibrate at the same frequency, and that's what makes people sick and such for a lot of reasons. And by doing the Qigong, you separate each one of those organs through the motions, and that's what happens is each one of your organs creates a certain frequency, and then all combined is what your natural frequency is. And so that's a way that they can identify where someone is. And I haven't actually spoke to them about this, but it all seems to fit.
Mm-hmm. So they can track you down. Yeah, go ahead. And now they can track Tom down.
Yeah.
So, Tom, go ahead.
Oh, no.
They love Tom.
I bet.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Tom. How could you not?
They know how crazy I am. I have this ability to remote view. The thing about these people that Z is with, they're, I've been able to, I can probe people, and I used to be very good at reading people's minds, but I can't. I was in a bad car accident. I seem to have lost that ability. But now, separate from what Z talks about, these people are about 2,000 years ahead of us, I think. Does that sound about right, Z?
5.
Okay.
5,000.
5,000. Yeah. Okay. So now their minds are different from ours. For an Earth human to calibrate their thinking with one of these beings, it would be difficult for me, even knowing how I know how they think. And also when these people have a body energy so powerful, the frequency is when an Earth human comes near them, they have to adjust. I've done this myself, so I know what it is. They have to adjust the Earth human's vibration frequency to match theirs better, or the Earth human wouldn't survive, because they couldn't take the energy of these advanced people. So they do it. They do it very subtly. I mean, I've done it. I've done it to people, so I know how it works. But they do it so subtly that the person might feel a little nauseous or something, like a little bit off balance, a little bit dizzy, and then it's pretty much over. But they have to do it because the Earth human couldn't survive in their immediate vicinity. So anyway, I want to stick that in there.
Yeah, no, that's helpful.
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely accurate. And the feeling that I get, because I'm tagging along with both of you to see what I can pick up. It's interesting. The first image I got of these people is they're kind of like advanced flowers. That's the feeling I got. That there's this fragility about them, but that yet they know how to use their energy, and they know how to use it precisely. So that's something we as humans really don't even have a clue about. But they know how to use it precisely, and I can imagine what you're saying, Tom, is that type of energy can be so intense because it's so precise. So, they have to scatter the wave a little. Very interesting, my goodness. Both you guys, what you're going through, that's pretty cool.
Let me stick this in here too. Yeah, I've had, I've never interviewed an extraterrestrial straight on, but I've interviewed people that have had, meetings with extraterrestrials, and how can I say this without pissing a lot of people off? To them, we stink. Our vibration is so bad. We're so contaminated with negativity and fear and hate that we stink. To them, we stink.
I bet we do.
That kind of gives you an idea of their purity.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, one thing I need to add. One thing I need to add is, like, when I picked her up, or got close to her, I started to feel like a static electric, and it didn't hurt or nothing. I just was aware of it, and I can always tell when they come, as I can start feeling that electric sort of thing, which maybe has something to do with that. As far as their minds go, they're very, very similar to us in many ways. There's only slight differences, and the thing about the brain is it's almost identical to ours. And the one thing that they keep pounding on to me is about like the Jesus saying was, you, the people of this earth, can do all that I can do and more. And they tell me about that I can't even imagine how much we can do, what our abilities truly are. Yeah. And kind of like what separated humans from the monkeys was that the monkeys have reached a plateau. Like they build these tools and things like that, but they're not capable of going further where humans were. And I think that I'm just speculating that, that's where we and them are quite alike, except for their intelligence. They use more of their brain. But beyond that, it's the capabilities that we have, like I've experienced with them through what they've been teaching me. We are totally more capable. But everything, that's the other thing too, the one foundation about this is it's all about love and with them. And it's just, it's weird, because you get around a lot of these new age type people who talk about, all love and light and all that stuff. Yeah. And it never really made any sense to me because it's not possible with us. Yeah. But it is with them, and it's a requirement. There is no dishonesty. There's no hiding anything at all. So, and I think
except
that's why
I've
been allowed to stay. Well, she looks more like she's in her 20s, but I'm guessing she's around 200.
Yeah, so maybe that's teenage years for them. I don't know. But it sounds like a very interesting dynamic with the 6 or 7 of them. And for some reason, there's still a little room for rebellion because that's what she was doing. But this is all so fascinating. Now, they're training you to learn new things. Now, obviously, Tom, you are so advanced. You're one of the few humans who is advanced on many levels. You can do remote viewing and so many other things. I mean, you're so talented. And what about you, Z? Are they training you in things like consciousness, or what are they teaching you?
Well, I've had many years in temples, and I'm Shaolin, and I'm kind of on the upper crust of them, and so I've learned many things. They've put me through a lot of different things when I became part of the Table of Ancients that are like people would come out of retirement basically to teach me. And so I had experiences in multiple things. So like certain types of meditations. For instance, like one time she came to pick me up, and it's kind of comical story, but I said, well, I had an idea, and she says, great, so I wanted to take her to this remote area of beach near where I live, and it was just really trashed out area, not from human trash, but from just nature. And I was able to drive my Jeep up on the beach, but it was really funny. It was putting her into the vehicle because she was scared to death, and I felt like I was strapping in an astronaut or something, and I ended up having to put the seat back a little bit so she had less input in seeing stuff, and I kind of coined it as like having 5 kids in the back that wouldn't shut up, and so anyways, I take her there, and I throw a blanket out on the hood, and we climb up on the Jeep, and I asked her, I wanted I knew that the view was familiar to her, but I would like to know something about the stars, the things that I'm looking at. And so she took me into this. She goes, remember the sensing that we were teaching you, how to, there's like 3 stages of sensing, and which is a long story. But anyway, one of the things that's primary in this is where you find gratitude. And so she had me go into that gratitude, and with her, she said to implant that you want to talk to somebody up there. And I was like, okay. And so I went into this 100 breath thing, and my gratitude was the first time I saved this little kid. That's what I do. I save kids from sex slavery. And there was this little 4-year-old that was my first one that I rescued. And it was an incredible moment for me because she was screaming and yelling when I pulled her out of the place, and we got in this van, and we usually take them to like a safe house to be checked out, and then from there to where they're going to be. And there was no room in the van, so she had to stay on my lap, and I looked scary, right? And so I took off a lot of my garb, and I looked out the window, and I didn't want to look at her. And so because make her scared again. And as we're going for a while, I could feel that like burning thing when somebody's looking at you, and I looked at her, and I did, and my eyes met hers, and I knew that's what I would do for the rest of my life, and that was my gratitude. And the funny thing is that it's a memory, but when I'm in this sensing, it's as though it's happening right then, and I can see so much more clearly all the details, wrinkles in the clothes and everything. And so I got into that space, and then, I asked the question, and then I kept going deeper, and the next thing you know, I heard, hello. And it shocked the poop out of me, and all I could think was greetings and salutations. And then I turned, and Sam Jessup's laying next to me, and she goes, I heard it too. And so they're teaching me these things so that, all these different things. It's about, this is contact. It's not going to come through the government.
Well, this is great. It never will. Yeah, and in fact, I think, Tom, last time you were on the show, you actually said that. You said that one of your military people said, we will never tell the American public the truth, ever. And I know that was accurate. Right. You were absolutely right. And so, we know it's not going to come that way. And the other thing that's so fascinating about what you guys are experiencing now is what they're teaching you has tangible results. So, again, it's not anything airy-fairy. This has real results. So you followed her lead, you did what she suggested, and there that being was. But I got to say something before we go any further. Saving children from this horrible experience of sex trafficking, there are still a lot of people that don't believe that this is going on. And it clearly is. And I'm so glad that you brought it up. I think it's an absolutely horrific and very evil and demonic thing that's happening with our children. But we need to know it's happening. And God bless you for saving these children, for pulling them out of these hellholes that they are taken away to. This is quite a mission you're on. It's amazing.
Well, we've gotten 2,351 to date, and we've only lost 3 people in the process through the rescues. And we if we had money, we could do this every single day. And it's absolutely incredible about nobody wants to change the world, it seems like. And the thing is that I can make anybody cry, but what happens when they offer all these things is I can tell they figure if they don't look at it, they won't have to see it, and they don't know how horrible it really is.
I think you're right. They don't know, and there's this total cognitive dissonance about a lot of things in the world today, and that's one of them. Right. And it's really sad that we just can't see it or don't want to, but this needs to be fought on every level. And again, God bless you for the work that you're doing with your team. Obviously, you're being very successful. Any loss of your team members is a tremendous loss. And I'm sorry to hear that you did lose 3 of your team members that gave their lives for this. But, my God, these poor children, they're being tortured, and I don't even want to think about what else is happening to them. But, this is all really bad. And let me ask you, because you're familiar with this, and I think people need to know, who's behind all this? Who's doing this?
Well, it depends where. That's why we're the best at what we do. And we don't just rescue. I know where every one of our rescues are since before 2015. Asia is our primary target. Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, Philippines, those areas. And the reason is that we target that is because I can pretty much make up my own law, and we're criminals no matter what over there. The police, government officials are usually involved, and the triads hate me and try to kill me, and Ukrainians. They're the 2 major gangs. Now, here in the United States, it's a completely different story. You're not allowed to rescue kids. And the police department...
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah. And I've done several interviews with police officers on the street, and they all think there's a human trafficking department, but what you'll end up doing is calling a number, and it'll be transferred several times until you get to a narcotics officer. And the reality is that if there needs to be at least 20 kids, and then it goes to the FBI, and then it gets put on their list of thousands of these. So and nothing ever really happened. I met a sheriff that called me out on it, and so I took him to LAX when I was out in California and showed him 30 girls being brought through that were going to be used, in that field, and how they would do it, where they would show up, who would be with them, and then what they would get into. And he was blown away. But everything that they do is legal. And then, like, when you go to, like, a police department or something that wants to do a sting, it takes 2 weeks to really get set up, and they got to get approval from a judge who either knows people involved or else is involved themselves. And so $60,000 a day to do an undercover work isn't going to happen. And then by the time, if they do get that in 2 weeks, they've already moved to another location. And I can tell you exactly how that works too. But and these other charities that are out there, it's kind of crazy. They fear me because I don't have a payroll, and they do. And when I show up, they're always afraid that I'm going to steal money from them. So they won't work with me.
They need to be worried about that? Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I am unfortunately not surprised that it sounds like this country is one of the worst offenders and most protective of the slave trade for children. How disgusting.
Yeah.
And I'm really thrilled to know you and to have you on the show to talk about this for a little period of time. I didn't expect we'd get into this, but it certainly is a topic that needs to be addressed in this country. Now, I know when Trump was president, he did say he wanted to put an end to all of this. But we all know that whoever's controlling this country is a part of it. So that's how it rolls. It's just so sad. And, I've got to also say a warning to all the moms and dads out there, watch your children, because there are so many children being taken from malls. Turn your back and your kids are gone, and good luck getting them back. Keep them close. Don't let them go out without not knowing where they are. You've got to know where your kids are. And I hate to sound like I'm lecturing, but I am, because I'm concerned, and I think, there's too many parents out there that don't realize the gravity of the situation. So it's so important to be able to keep your children safe. There are a lot of people talking about this on social media platforms and trying to warn other parents and other children, teenagers, that may not think that this is going to happen to them. But it does. And like I said, it's really tough getting these kids back, isn't it?
Yeah. I had an incident in Los Angeles. Well, it was north of Los Angeles, but this church company that helped me out a lot asked me to go talk to these parents. They lost their daughter, and that they had already contacted the police and the FBI 2 weeks prior. And I said, well, I can't work here. And they asked me, well, just go talk to them. So I did. And they told me one of her girlfriends was actually there who had been kidnapped by the same people. And it was a rave concert that they usually take them at around here. And she gave me the names of the people who run the organization, and she gave me some addresses. And I said, well, all right, well, I'll go look at one of these places, and if I see something, I'll call the police, because if I do that, if I see something, then the police have to come. And when I got there, I was sitting outside. It was like a body shop for a car dealer. And I was watching, and I saw 4 of the 5 people she identified leave. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, there could only be one more in there, or somebody else. But I decided, well, I'm going to go take a look, And so I walk in.
Right.
And the guys that work on the cars were down at one end having lunch, and I look over to my right, and I could see the door cracked open, and I could see the girl on the floor duct taped and tied. And I saw one guy in there. So I went in and put him to sleep, grabbed her, threw her over my shoulder, and ran out and threw her in the back of my car. And then about 10 minutes later, when I didn't have any shadows, I let her, loose and told her what was going on. And then I took her back to her parents, all in about 4 hours. And for what I did, I called a cop friend of mine, and he says, well, transporting a minor, breaking and entering,
oh,
assault.
gosh,
He goes, I would have probably did 7 years for what I did.
Oh.
So, but she's
outrageous.
safe, so.
Thank God for you. Oh, my God, that's outrageous, outrageous. No wonder you have to go out of the country to do this work. Excuse me. Our laws and the people behind them are the problem. Gee, well, I appreciate you sharing that so much, Z. Thank you. That's so helpful to everybody in the audience. Yes.
Yeah, Patricia, the one thing that drives me nuts about all of this, I watched a video the other day, and the girl was talking about adrenochrome. And she was there when they were killing kids and draining them of their blood to drink their damn blood. I mean, how can it get any worse than that? It kill, 7, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 12-year-old kids, kill them, drain the blood, and then drink the blood. How can it get any worse than that? It can't.
I agree with you that it can't. It cannot. It's so disgusting and appalling.
Yes,
and no wonder the ETs think that we're absolute monsters when this is what we're doing. I mean, it's amazing that they haven't wiped us all out. So, yeah. But, again, here you guys are having a really wonderful, friendly relationship with these beings from another planet. Now, has anybody else seen them? Like when you took this lady to the beach, did anybody else see her?
I got to tell a story. Let me tell this story. No, before you go, I got to tell it from my point of view. I love this. I don't think I remote viewed it, but I did visualize it. All right, I'll call her Simjaz. That's not totally her name, but she's so beautiful. She's so incredibly beautiful, and she's what, 6'2", Z? Oh,
no, she's about 6 foot. She's short.
Short, yeah, 6 foot.
Short.
But she's so, and I've seen her. I've remote viewed her, and she's otherworldly beautiful. I mean, so they have to camouflage her when they go out in public with Earth humans. They go to buy something. They put on Earth human clothes. Try to look like the rest of us, and they have to camouflage her because she's so beautiful. Tell that story about the first time, G.
About taking her to that mall.
Yeah, no, the trailer trash. She looked like trailer trash when they dressed her up.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was different. When she showed up one time, she had tried to figure out what to wear, and she looked horrible. And it was like trailer trash. And I told her, just wear a sweatsuit with a hoodie, and a ball cap, and of course sunglasses. I said, and you'll fit in about anywhere. And so, but anyway, one time she come over, and I was contemplating on taking her somewhere where she could kind of see how it is, and I decided the mall, and where, I just told her that because of who she was, it was like, you need to do exactly what I tell you when I tell you. And I was still nervous because she's kind of a loose cannon, and so that was the first time she got in a Jeep, and I thought I was going to die, and it was only like a 5-minute drive. But they totally hate our vehicles. They go, how do you do this? But anyway, we go to the mall, and she was appropriate, and I swear the female gene is universal, because we walked in, and it was almost as though it was like she went straight for the women's clothes, the little shops, and we went into the first one, and it was like it was too close, right? Because she had these wrapped around like sunglasses and stuff, so they couldn't see how big her eyes were or anything, and their ears are somewhat different. And so I said, I had told the lady, no problem, no, we didn't need any help, and I got her out of there before something went a little weird. And so then we're going along, and then we get to like she was obsessed with jewelry, these earrings that people are wearing, and this one shop had we call it free piercing, with the purchase of some earrings. And so I thought she was just like begging me in a sense, and I explained to her what the the piercing was like and stuff like that. And she said, yeah, that would be okay. And so we went, and the lady who was doing it bought these little cheap earrings, and she was like, you need to remove your sunglasses. And I thought off the top of my head, I said, she just went to the eye doctor and she can't take those off for now. And she goes, oh yeah, no problem. And then she pulled her hair back, and their hair is like monofilament. It's just like clear, but she didn't really notice it because of the tint. And as she pulled it back, their ears are like ours, but they're a little longer and narrower, but they look like ours. And so she noticed that sort of thing. And I said, oh, don't worry, she's Nordic. And she goes, oh, well, I've never had a Viking in here, or it's been a while since I've had a Viking. So we managed through that. And then after that, we went to she gravitated towards this big shoe store. You know, it was one of those really big ones where you could kind of be alone. And she tried on high heels, and she just was nuts. She goes like, how do women wear this? Why do they want to be in pain? And so she had nothing to do with those.
Good question.
And then and then so I showed her like tennis shoes, and it's kind of weird because she totally became obsessed with them. So I got her these like pink tennis shoes, and she just absolutely loves them. But when I was like in one of their uniforms, their shoes, when you pull them on, they sort of just fit your foot. They just move around until it's like perfect. So I have no idea why she would want to wear one of our shoes. But that's why I say there's this female gene. I swear it's universal, and she still wears them all the time.
It goes across every planet.
Yeah. And then as a finale, I wanted to get her. I knew she hated coffee and she hated cigars, but they love strawberries, and so I got her a smoothie, and she was really, kind of scared to try it. But once she tried it, she went nuts, and she starts dancing, doing all these crazy moves, on in the mall. And so I had to grab her and I said, "Whoa, stop!" And she did. But that was the experience outside.
That is hilarious. Oh, my goodness. Well, she's a typical lady. What can I say? She's a woman after my own heart here with her shoe fetish and, and all of those earrings. And so she got her piercing. She got her ears pierced, huh? And the captain didn't have like a freak out when he found out that she did that?
Well, he wasn't pleased with it. Let's say that.
I bet. Well, it's so funny how she's so fascinated by some of these things. But now you've been communicating with them for 2 to 3 months. Do they continue to keep their ship nearby? Is it floating around in our atmosphere? Is it still in the jungle somewhere? Or do they move it around? What do they do with their ship?
I really don't know how to answer that because, when I was down in the middle of nowhere, the first 2 times I met them there, and I've met them other times there, but they also show up here outside my house. There was an experience where, well, that's a long story, but it was kind of weird walking along the side of the ship and seeing it disappear as I walked past, but then I'd turn around and walk back and it would start to reappear. And it's like when you walk over a hill, things disappear, but when you walk back, you can see them again. So I don't quite understand that. And then, and I never had seen them until that point. Even as many times as I'd been in there, I hadn't ever seen the ship itself. So that was actually my first time to see the ship. And then we went to these other places, been to, other places out in space, and it's almost instantaneously where you go. So to answer your question, I don't quite know.
Yeah, sounds like they can just do whatever. Are you concerned that at some point they're going to go home and you won't be able to talk to them or see them anymore?
Well, that would be okay, but I would really, really miss them. We've become like family, and we found ourselves in positions that they had to defend me. And everybody's an equal in their society, but there are people who have...
1 second, Z. I can't hear you because there's all this extraneous noise. Tom, are you making food or something?
No, I just dropped something.
Okay. I didn't know if you're having dinner. I want some too. So, so yeah, I was thinking about that because I know people that have had long-term relationships with groups on the other side, and then all of a sudden it gets broken apart, and it's really tough to deal with because, like you said, these people have become your family. So it would be like saying goodbye to family members if they were called back to their planet or told to go to another galaxy or whatever. So that's very interesting that, I mean, it's a possibility that could happen. And
actually,
now, Tom, have you...
No.
I'm sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Actually, no. Sam Jess is kind of special. She can make decisions, but prefer not to go there. But the one of the things that I've noticed is, like, I taught one of the first times I was with them, I taught them how to shake hands, and they just really became addicted to that. And the humor is amazing. They're always messing with you. And the other thing is that I started with Sam Jess and hugging the females, and they are completely addicted to it. And it's like, when you can't really go anywhere or do anything without the greetings, like the shaking of hands and like the hugs. Like, I'll be going down one of their hallways, and one of them will step out, and she'll just grab me and hold me, for like a minute, and then it's all good. Then you can just go on with your way. And so the love is just incredible. And there was a time when the upper people wanted me to go with them, and I said no. I said I want to be here with my family, and that's all I cared about. And that was really tense at that time, and I had the right to do that, and they agreed to it because that's what I wanted. So the love is just really hard to kind of figure out. It's unconditional. And I've always known unconditional, but not like this. This is just incredible.
Yeah, this is celestial, much bigger. So, Tom, let me ask you a question, because you talked about having communication with someone they call Mother. Who is this person?
Yeah.
Is she an elder on the ship, or who is she?
Well, I can't really. Z, you said she's she's dark skinned, black.
No, she has the same color skin, but she has, like, I've noticed as I meet more of them, that they have characteristics of us. Like, she would be black. I could tell by just subtle things in her face, and then I've seen like an Asian and an Indian so far. So, but they're all the same color. They're all white like us. They could pass anywhere except for their eyes.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well,
so why do they call her Mother?
To communicate with. Yeah.
Well, Sam Jess is. Did you want me to answer this?
Yeah, whoever
wants to take
that question. Why do they call her Mother? It sounds like a term of endearment and also respect, but why?
Yeah, she's very integrated. Sam Jess's grandmother, who is also called Sam Jess, was like a leader, and her and Mother were really, really close. And they were sort of like troublemakers too, but Mother is like super respected, and she's kind of like the Dalai Lama that we would have. That's the best way I can describe her. And she can do just about anything that she wants to. She can show up wherever she wants to, and she's kind of like the boss in that sense. She doesn't have any title, and she can do anything that she wants. That's who Mother is.
Okay, and what is their mission here?
The ones that that I work with, my family, are, other than Sam Jess, she was a hitchhiker, but it's a lab, and what they study like everything about Earth. Like I said earlier, they weren't interested in humans, and that was because the only interest they had in humans was about how we fit in with all the other life on the planet. And so that was their primary job, is to study and understand everything about Earth.
Okay, so that's what they're here to do, and not so much humans, but everything else. So plant life or animal life or anything like that, like their ecosystem, that kind of thing. That's what they're here to do. Maybe that's why they like being in the jungle. There's so much life there.
Well, I got to stick this in here. You know, I just realized I've had the same experiences with the Indian tribes. You know, the Navajos and the Zuni and the Apaches here. And it's not uncommon at all for the especially the Navajos to interact with human extraterrestrials and non-human, and it's very much like what Z's talking about here. I spent a lot of time interviewing these, especially the Apaches. What the Apaches say about them is phenomenal. You know. And the Navajos. I mean, what the Navajos told me would blow your mind. You go, no way, you know. But they interact with extraterrestrials, not only human extraterrestrials, but humanoids, a lot. And that tribe up in Washington State, that the Racks are named after. It's even more so up there. It's phenomenal what happens with extraterrestrials. And Native Americans. It's not uncommon at all.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, their traditions have carried through for just centuries, and they've always talked about the Star People. So, yes, that makes perfect sense. They know so much more than we do. Well, and you now know, Tom, because of your friendships with them through the years. So, but, yeah, what about their home planet? Did they discuss that with either of you?
Not so much, except for that, you know, which I've been near there. It's like 580 or around 500. I think it's around 500 light years. It's beyond. It's 80 years beyond the Pleiades, and so and they have colonies though that are near the Pleiades. So I can understand why, you know, but they call themselves the Pleiadians, not Pleiadians.
Okay. And are there other races of ETs that they don't like?
They don't say that. What they say is there are other species that they cannot. They just don't have anything that they can share with them. In other words, they can't really. They're so far different than they are that it's not. There's no productive, but there's not. It's not as though that they don't like them or they like them. It's just that they can't work with them.
How many teams of them are there around, or are they the only ones on Earth?
No, there's others, and that's what I was going to say is that the particular group they didn't have any training or anything related to contact with a human, but there are others that do. But that was separate from what I've done, and that was my opportunity, is to go meet with these others, which I eventually did, but really not interested, you know, sort of thing. I'm more interested in the people that I'm working with, and they're comfortable with that.
Yes. Where do you see this going for you? And you too, Tom. Do you think that they'll be able to train you to do other things, to really reach your superhuman capabilities?
Well, I wouldn't call it superhuman.
For me, go ahead, Z. Go ahead.
Yeah. Just to continue with what I'm doing, because I've known people for decades, and they've all said the same thing. Most of them don't know what's going on here and or anything about it, but they say I've changed, and I ask them how, and they would say you're just more, and I believe that, and I'm just starting with all this stuff.
Wow. Well, that would be nice if they continue with this, and then you might be able to pass some of that on to the rest of us people out here. That would be great.
That's the idea. I mean, that's the plan. Their plan.
That's their plan.
Well, I'm going to learn what I can. Yeah, I'm going to learn what I can without being pushy.
I wrote a book about it. so far.
Oh, good. Well, we're going to have to talk about that with our audience, and I hope you will come back. I mean, Tom, I can't thank you enough. This has been such a fascinating show. I mean, I could talk to you guys all night. And, Tom, you're amazing, and your whole life and everything that you're doing, you're fearless, except for the werewolves. I know. I'm right with you. So, but, my gosh, I mean, your breadth of knowledge is so big. And that's why I love having you on the show, because you can talk about any subject. You can talk about any cryptid, and you always have great information. And now you're on this another wonderful adventure with your friend Z, and it's just great. And I can't thank you enough for sharing this with our audience tonight. Believe me, I know this has been a very big deal for everybody in the audience, and thank you so much for being so honest and open about your experiences with this lovely group from another world that's been pretty kind to you, I'd say. Pretty nice to you, yes?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, awesome show.
Well, hey, I'm going to let you guys go on, enjoy the rest of your evening, but please do keep in touch. And if you have more that you'd like to talk about on the air, you know how to reach me. Be happy to have you back. I'm so sorry Michelle couldn't join us, because I know she would have loved to be with us tonight on all these topics that we discussed. But both you guys are amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, let us know. It sounds like you're on the best adventure yet. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah. No, love you, sweetie. You're great. You've had a lot of compliments. People have been on the show before. They say, yeah, Patricia's number one. She's great.
Oh.
You are.
Well, thank you so much. You know I love what I do, and I love my guests. My guests are amazing, and everybody brings something so valuable to the show. But, Tom, I got to say, you're really a standout. So thank you. Thank you so much, Tom. And Z, a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and sharing this amazing story. And I just hope it continues for the both of you, and you can bring us all the goodies of what we need to learn.
Total honor. Yeah. I can't believe I'm here with Tom. I mean, he's like the god of this stuff, right?
He is. Great way to put it. He is.
Yeah.
He is. He knows it all. He's fantastic. Well, thank you, guys. So, look, we're going to end for this evening. Thank you again. And next week, everybody, we'll be back with another great show. Until then, we'll see you on the Blue Highway. Good night, everyone.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with Supernatural